The NCAA has cleared Texas Tech transfer Devan Cambridge for his 7th year of college basketball. I just don't want it to be in Chapel Hill.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Friday, May 9th, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade, and you're joining me at the place to get your Carolina content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks so much for making us your first listen or watch of the day to get your weekend kicked off the right way, baby. Special shout out to all you everydayers joining us, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and all the great Locked On Tar Heels insiders. This episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Tune into any Xbox. Turn your TV into an Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Coming up on today's show, it is a chock-a-block full episode to get you ready for the weekend. Devan Cambridge, Texas Tech transfer, gets a 7th year of eligibility. The Heels are apparently in contact. It is time for Seth Trimble to start exerting his leadership. Yesterday, there is some confusion about the new ACC scheduling model. We talked about it yesterday on the show, but apparently I need to clear it up some today because I've seen all sorts of misinformation out there in the world. So we'll talk about that. Also, is Ivan Kharchenko missing from a German team? Not really, but I'll explain what I mean. And the weekend whip around. Going to be a full show, like I said, and we'll get right into it. Okay. Joe Tipton reported on Thursday that Texas Tech and multiple other school transfer Devan Cambridge has received a waiver from the NCAA to get a 7th year of eligibility from the NCAA. And he reported that Carolina, amongst other schools, have shown interest. It's a weird list, including Ohio State, Pitt, who he's going to visit next week, Arizona State, which would be a return, Seton Hall, and Pepperdine. A bit of a weird list. Right out of the gate, though, here's what I want to say. I want you to hear me say these things before we even dive into him. Buyer beware. I don't even want to mess around. Personally, I don't want to mess with Devan Cambridge. Yes, he's got another year of eligibility. I'm happy for that to be anywhere else other than Chapel Hill. I want to get, and the reason being is because after this news came out, I reached out to one of my Texas Tech sources because that's the benefit of covering college basketball nationally, and got back several quotes from this source that I'll just share some of with you. And all of this, I'm like, no. I don't even want to come within sniffing distance of this dude. Literally the first thing the source said back to me is, it's a mistake. I was like, okay, antennas up. I'm nervous about this. The source went on to say that Devan Cambridge is Grant McCaslin's one regret from his time at Texas Tech. This was the 2nd year that Grant McCaslin has been at Texas Tech, been very successful, but Cambridge has had injury-shortened seasons in both of those years. And so I'm like, okay, great, I hear you on all that, but why? And the source told me back, quote, he's shady, not like Isaac Shady, but like shady, and not a team player. And I'll just say this, that is not what any team needs, but especially Carolina, who is trying to bring together a whole bunch of new players. Yes, you've got a couple returners in Seth Trimble and James Brown, a couple others, but the majority of the team is brand new, whether it's the 3 incoming freshmen and a whole bunch of transfers, and you just cannot abide with a player that's not team first mentality. So again, I want to dig deeper. Why is that? And part of what this person said to me was that last season that Cambridge had basically like thrown a fit, demanding more NIA mid-season, right? We've heard some of this in these day and age, even though he wasn't back to full 100% strength yet from his knee surgery, and he wasn't playing well. And then after all of that, basically ended up quitting on the team because he wasn't getting enough playing time. Now, he claimed it was the injury issues, but he had been cleared to play. He had been cleared to play. And so basically just quit on the Red Raiders, who ended up having a great season And to me, it's a little bit of addition by subtraction. Every now and again, we see this. Carolina had a pretty similar situation in the year that they went to the national championship in 2022. We've talked about it on the show. We don't need to relitigate that today, but that ended up being some addition by subtraction, and Carolina went off after that. I think that's how I've kind of compared that in my head of what happened to Texas Tech this past year. And so the source and I continued to talk more, and they said basically, and honestly, he's not good enough to put up with any of that. So even if it's a high level player, if they're like a me first kind of player instead of a team first kind of player, I don't care how good they are, you don't want to put up with it. But especially if they don't have capability to just be like an absolute dude, right? And so that's the thing. And so basically where we settled is the source said, honestly, Cambridge just needs to go to a lower level, like a mid-major or low major team and be a star. And because also he's not a good bench guy. Because that's when I was first starting to process this, I was like, you don't want Cambridge to come in and be a starter. That's just not what he's going to do. So maybe he could come in and be a bench guy. But then my source was like, nah, he's not even good in that role. So I'm out. Now, all of that said, because Carolina has shown interest, because of Tipton's reporting that Carolina has contacted him, I think we need to dive a little further into Cambridge just based on like, hey, there is the possibility of further connection. And so I want us to be in the know. So BioBlast, Cambridge is 6'6", he's 210. He's originally from Nashville, Tennessee. As I said earlier, has played 6 years of college basketball already. Started at Auburn, played 3 years there. Then played a season at Arizona State. That was the best year statistically of his college career. And then the last 2 years, as I said, at Texas Tech. Although these last 2 years at Texas Tech, he's only played 14 total games. 8 games 2 years ago and 6 games this most recent season, unless I have that backwards, but it doesn't really matter. 14 games total. Now, size-wise, that kind of screams like nice positional three, but he's not a good three-point shooter. And he does do some other things well, like his 2-point percentage is strong. But really, like playing style-wise, he's more like an undersized 4. He's got, again, a great 2-point percentage, but the threes just are not there. Last year, if you just look at the statistics, it's like, oh man, but Isaac, his 3-point shooting was great. Well, go look at the numbers. The sample size is wildly, wildly small. He took 7 total threes last year. So you're like, wow, 57% from 3. Yeah, he was 4 of 7. You can't get anything from that. You can't extrapolate like, oh boy, he's grown. No, he's not grown. You don't know. 7 attempts. That's all it was. Because again, just 6 games. So it could be a bit of an advantage to have him as like an undersized 4, but Carolina has those kind of guys already. So if he was a true wing, yeah, maybe you'd think about it a little bit, but no, that's I don't think where he would be at his best. So again, I'm kind of out. Let me give you, I said that year at Arizona State was his best year. Let me give you his stats from that season. That was the 2022-23 season. 9.8 points a game, 5.4 rebounds, 0.8 assists to 1.4 turnovers, 0.6 steals, 0.8 blocks, and did that in 26.7 minutes a game. From the field, he shot 50.4%, 33.3% from 3, 58.6% from 2, and just 65% at the free throw line. So again, the 2s are much better than the 3s. So you're probably asking yourself, Isaac, how on earth does this guy have any modicum of eligibility if this is his 7th year? Well, basically, here's what happened. He has played a full 4 years, those 3 years at Auburn, and then his year at Arizona State, played at least 27 games in all 4 of those seasons. But then 2 years ago at Texas Tech, just 8 games, and last year, just 6 games. Well, that first year at Auburn was the year that was shortened by COVID. Anybody playing that next year, the 2020-21 season, like when RJ Davis was a freshman, were the ones that were granted COVID eligibility. So we had that year already to use, which would have been his first year at Texas Tech, but then injury. And so the NCAA looks at that and says, like, basically you get that 5th year of COVID eligibility still. And so that's why he's going to get this 7th year. But I mean, it's crazy. He's already played 141 career basketball games, and he's going to get a 7th year. And so my hope ultimately is that he ends up landing somewhere else. He does say that he's now 100% healthy, but man, I just, how many times have we seen Carolina risk taking one of those kind of guys and then they just haven't ever really gotten back to full strength? It's like, it's just high risk, low reward to me. And that is the complete opposite of what you're looking at if you're wanting to do these things. Another thing I would say as well is, as I record this on Friday morning, we don't yet know the level of contact that Carolina has had with him. And I've become more and more wary of these kind of things, right? We see it all the time with portal, like, oh, this is a one of the best bigs in the portal or something like that. And it's like, no, he's not. I'm not saying that about Cambridge. I'm just saying about people try to oversell a lot of that. And then people also kind of don't get correct the level of contact. Like there was a player previously, it was Hanjay Tamba, that Coach Rob and I talked about yesterday, where somebody had said, oh, Carolina really went after him. I forget the exact verbiage. And it's like, no, Coach, yeah, they had a conversation, but it was already after he had basically committed to St. John's. And so Carolina, yeah, they talked to him, but whatever. So I just want to take the contact with a grain of salt. We don't know, again, the level of that. And again, at best, Cambridge would be a solid backup if that's what you're looking for. I would not want to go after him as a starter. But again, that Texas Tech source said, like, nah, he's not even a good bench guy just with everything else. And so when you've already got a bunch of question marks on the roster, I don't want to utilize one of the final players you might take on somebody that's not a good locker room guy, who you don't even know if he's fully healthy and you don't know the level of production. If I'm going to utilize one of those final roster spots, I want somebody that is like a locker room hero, somebody that's like, even if they're not playing a ton, they're just bringing all the guys together. They're one of those kind of catalysts in a good way. And so ultimately, Carolina needs a wing, and Cambridge is better when he's shooting 2s than 3s. Finally, a couple years ago, that year at Arizona State, he did do that, more 2s than 3s. And the other thing you're looking for, again, is more leadership, which we're going to talk about leadership more in a second. And that should be a win with a guy that's a 7th-year guy. But from everything that I'm hearing and talking about, that's not him. So ultimately, yes, I know there's connection with Cambridge, and we're thirsty for names in the portal era. It's like, oh, here's somebody else we're looking at. It's like, I'm out on Cambridge. So that's where we are at there. Now, while we might not like the leadership potential for Devan Cambridge, Carolina desperately needs leadership this season. And Seth Trimble, in my opinion, is the main guy to do it. But here's the deal. That doesn't start in October or November. That starts yesterday. We'll talk about that in just a second. Right after I tell you about Amazon, the Fire TV Stick 4K. Did you know that the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K is also an Xbox? You can turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. Get this, no console required. All you need is a paired controller, and then you subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. You can dive into all sorts of different titles, from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 or anything else, and you can do that as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With Wi-Fi 6 and low latency mode advanced technology, Fire TV Stick 4K, it delivers smooth, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds that you need to stay competitive when you're playing. Now, maybe you're like me though, and you're not really into gaming much. I just don't have time or really the desire, and that's fine. Maybe you're like me. The cool thing is the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K isn't just for that. We literally use one on every TV in our house as the way we access all of our screen content, whether it's live TV, any of the subscription services. And man, I absolutely love the interface. I love you can customize it. Man, so good. You should check it out. And if you want to do that, head on over to amazon.com/FireTVLockedOn to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. It's available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Go check it all out at amazon.com. Okay, I want to talk Seth Trimble and how it is time for him to step up in leadership. if you have been with the show, you know that this is something I've been harping on for a while. And not because Seth hasn't been doing it. I love that he's starting to embrace this. It's just because last season, there was a big void of leadership and it wasn't there. And that was, I think, made all the more glaring because 2 seasons ago, when Carolina was a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, you had multiple strong leaders, including 2 transfers in Cormac Ryan and Harrison Ingram. RJ Davis was really starting to find some more of his leadership this past year, but he's a more lead by example kind of guy, right? Like for him, getting into that lead verbally was kind of outside his comfort zone. And then that's fine, right? Like that's not what everybody should be. But I think there's this, you look at that, if you're Seth and you know you need to step up, but RJ is one of your good buddies. If it was me, I would be hesitant to overstep RJ Davis, right? Like I totally understand those team dynamics, having been in locker rooms similar to that in my own time as an athlete. But now this has got to be Seth's team. Whether Seth is the leading scorer or not, this has to be his team from a leadership standpoint. And when I say Seth needs to start leading yesterday, I don't mean because there was literally something that happened on Thursday, May 8th. I just mean Seth's leadership has to have already started. Go with me on this. I'm not sure if you had a chance to listen to his interview on the Carolina Insider podcast, the one that Jones Angel and Adam Lucas host. Man, they do a great job. I'm really thankful for what they do. And a couple of weeks ago, they had an interview with Seth Trimble on. And man, Seth just spoke so eloquently and I thought so well. I finally had a chance to listen to this earlier this week about what he needs to do as a leader. And I love it because down the stretch of this season, I had said over and over and over again that it's got it. Like if nobody is going to do it, I think Seth's the guy. He's got the capability to do it. He's got enough, like a lot of times, yes, anybody can vocally be a leader, but it really helps when it's somebody that's really good. And so in Seth's case, that's a big deal. And so I love to hear on that interview with Jones and Adam that Seth is really embracing it. So here's what I mean by Seth's leadership has to have already started. You could look at this and think, okay, a leader has to step up when practice starts, like in October and November, or now you get a couple practices over the summer, that kind of stuff. That ain't it. If that's when you start exerting leadership, the ship has already sailed and you haven't done your job. Leadership has to already be going. This, like from the get-go, the second the season ends, you got to start looking ahead and saying, all right, what do I have to do to lead, to be a captain basically right now? Here's some of the things that I mean by that. What you do, you're calling guys, you're texting guys. Some of that is just like personal check-ins, but some of it is accountability. You're making sure everyone is doing their job, getting to the weight room with Jonas. You're making sure that when everyone is there, they're not just mailing it in or phoning it in. They're getting after it. You're making sure that everyone's getting their shots up, whatever that is. You're organizing the pickup games and making sure there are pickup games happening. There have been off seasons lately where it's been like they haven't been doing that at the level you would expect to happen. One of those I remember specifically was the summer ahead of the year where Carolina didn't make the NCAA tournament. Those games have to be happening, right? We need to see that. Seth, as a leader, or whomever a leader is, needs to be checking in regularly with Coach Davis and the staff to say, all right, how can I be a liaison between the team and you all to say, hey, here's what we're feeling and seeing. And from you all as the staff back to the team to say, hey, here's what we need to be looking at. You as the leader need to be connecting with the incoming players, the freshmen of Caleb Wilson, Derek Dixon, Isaiah Dennis, making sure you're in contact with them, helping them feel like they're already part of things, helping them start to get adjusted both from afar and when they get to campus, helping them get settled in, all of that. And the same is true with the incoming transfers, Henry Vasar, Jaron Stevenson, everybody, right? Like, hey, Henry, hope your school year wrapped up well at Arizona. What's going on? How's your girlfriend? What are you looking forward to in Chapel Hill? How can I help you get adjusted? All of that kind of stuff. And then when they get to campus, helping them learn the lay of the land. You know, honestly, the incoming freshmen might know Chapel Hill, you know, the area, the campus even better than the transfers because of just more longevity of time around campus during recruitment. Obviously, that's different for Jaron Stevenson, who might know it better than anyone on the team. But typically with the transfers, they need to know that as well. Helping them get settled, the transfers when they arrive, like go literally meet them and their family or whoever's helping, and like, hey, can I carry a bag or a box? That helps you know that I am with you and I'm going to do whatever it takes to help you feel like you're part of this team, right? Like that's all the stuff that matters that can be happening right now before you even touch a basketball. So why is all of that so important? Just got a couple reasons I want to share. Number one, because of last year's leadership void. Again, this was something we talked a lot about. This was something, honestly, this is part of me saying it's got to start now. If you were listening to our shows last summer, when Coach Rob, who is at basketball camp every summer for Carolina Basketball School, he's seeing all these pickup games. He identified, go back and listen to last summer's episodes from around that time. Coach Rob identified the leadership void then because he was watching these games and nobody was taking charge at the level they should. And so like that was identified way early before the season even started. And so we need to see that now. And so that leadership void has to be filled. Another reason that leadership is so important, not even necessarily in a being the guy to score all the points sort of way. Even if you were one of the most talented teams ever, let's look at Duke last year. If there's not just that experienced upperclassman on-court extension of the coach, it can make or break how high the ceiling of your team. Give me a team that's not quite as good. If there's a massive talent gap, I couldn't think of the word I was looking for. Gap works. It's not going to matter. But if there's two teams that are pretty close in talent and the better team doesn't have strong leadership from a player, but the lesser talented team does, the lesser talented team is going to win because they will do it on court. Next thing, third thing, accountability, man. I cannot tell you how wildly important accountability is in a team dynamic. It's one thing when your coaches are on you, but it's another thing when a peer's on you, because you feel the weight of that differently. Because it's like if your coach is telling you, it's like your mom or your dad. But if another teammate is telling you, it's like when a good friend is like, Isaac, you're being an idiot. Stop it. It's like, oh crap, they're seeing that. I thought I was being clever, right? Isaac, you're not lifting weights the way you should. Isaac, you're not getting shots up the way you should. Whatever that is, when a teammate is doing it, man, that accountability is so important. So Seth, he just is the type of dude, he's not going to mind doing that. And I think others are going to fall in line with him. And then the fourth and last thing here is the Carolina longevity. When it's Seth Trimble, I said Trimble, like shiver. No, Trimble. When it's somebody that has been there and done it, gets Carolina. I mean, he's somebody that has this long longevity at Carolina because of JP Tokoto being there earlier, several years ago. Because Seth is somebody that bleeds Carolina. He thought about leaving, came back because he's like, this is the place for me. And because he's the rare unicorn in this day and age who has played 4 years of college basketball, every one of them at the same school. At the Power 5 level, that's so not the norm anymore. It's flipped. And so there's just so much that Seth brings that is what Hubert Davis wants. And so the more and more Seth can lean into this right now, the more and more it will translate into better performance for the team and hopefully leading to wins when things come in November and on. So Seth Trimble, get that going right now. Cannot wait to see more of it. Now, yesterday on the show, Coach Rob and I talked about the new ACC scheduling model, and needless to say, not because of how we talked about it, but just because of people not talking about it correctly on social media. There's all sorts of confusion out there. I want to try to clear that up. Plus, we'll talk about Ivan Kharchenko a little bit and the weekend whip around. All that coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about Monarch Money. Hey, do you ever check your bank account and wonder, whoa, where'd all my money? Because between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track of it all. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. They are your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over all of your finances. And Monarch Money isn't just like a budgeting app like any other normal. It's a complete financial command center for you. You can track your accounts, you can track your investments, your spending all in one place. So instead of just managing your money, you actually start building wealth, and Monarch Money helps you do it. Instead of having to juggle multiple apps, like one for your investments, one for your all of that, you can use Monarch Money to check in on all of it, finances, to track your spending, even plan long-term goals. My wife and I, we always want to make sure we are on the same page when it comes to finances. And what I love about Monarch Money is it helps make that easy and helps take all the stress out of it, because it's all there in one place with Monarch Money. So if you want to take control of your finances as well, do that with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. And that's a crazy deal. They're offering you half off just for checking it out. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Okay, a lot of confusion on the new ACC scheduling model, so let me work at clearing it up. And specifically, this is surrounding Carolina and NC State, and are they going to play twice a year or not? I saw people on social media on Thursday saying very definitively, yes, Carolina still will be playing NC State twice a year. Hear me say this. No, Carolina and NC State will not be playing twice a year, period, end of sentence. Now, some years they might play twice a year, but it will not be the norm, and it will not be every year. That will not happen. Here's why. There are now 18 games in the ACC scheduling model. That means, and there are 17 other ACC teams, right? So Carolina will play 14 of those other 17 teams once. 7 at home only, 7 on the road only. That leaves 4 more games. That will come against 2 teams. I just did Vulcan. One team that you play every year, and another team that you play twice, not every year. And then that means that there will be one ACC team that Carolina will not play at all in the regular season every year. Just, it's like a no-play team. Now, Carolina's what we call primary partner, a team that they play home and away every year, as you would expect, is going to be Duke. The entire ACC is matched up that way, where they have one primary partner that they play home and away every single year. And then every team will also have a secondary partner that they will play home and away, but that team changes every year. So yes, it might be NC State this year for 25-26. We don't know that yet. But if it is, it would not be NC State the next year or the year after that. It will change annually. And I think that's where the confusion comes in, is people are assuming that that secondary partner will be NC State every year. No, it will not. Now, Carolina and NC State could, if they wanted to, schedule a non-conference game. I doubt they will do that, but they could. You know, it's like, hey, if we're playing in Chapel Hill this year, the one that counts for the ACC, we could play a game at NC State non-con. Again, I don't think they'll do that, but it's on the table. And obviously they could play in the ACC tournament or in the NCAA tournament. I'm just saying during the regular season, it is not a guarantee that Carolina and NC State will play twice. In fact, more often than not, they will not. NC State, for all we know, could be the team they don't play at all, because there is, again, one ACC team that you won't play every year. I doubt that'll be the case, but that's possible. So just know, hear me say one more time, clearly and definitively, North Carolina and North Carolina State will not play twice every year. All right. Next thing, Ivan Kharchenko. We've been talking a lot about him. It sounds like Carolina and he are continuing conversations. And it was funny. Props to our guy, JC Fox, for catching this. On Wednesday, David Hein at Hein News on Twitter tweeted out, Germany announced preliminary 14-man roster for FIBA U19 World Cup training camp from June 1st to 5th in Kienbaum. My co-favorite for the tournament, biggest name missing is Ivan Kharchenko. And so interestingly, everybody kind of jumps on this of like, woo, does that mean Ivan's coming to the United States for college basketball? Does that mean he's coming to play Carolina? And so, yeah, he's noticeably missing from this roster and was phenomenal for Germany in the FIBA U18 stuff last summer. But there are a lot of it could mean that. It could mean like, oh, he's missing because he's getting ready to come to America to play at a college for school this year. Cool. Absolutely. That is a possibility. But that is not a guarantee of what this means. It could just mean he's sitting out. It could just mean, he's still playing in Bayern Munich's playoff stuff, right? Like there's a lot of possibilities, but it could mean that he's gearing up for a move to America. It's just not a guarantee that that's what's going to happen. So interesting, but I just wanted to point that out. But I love that JC Fox and others hopped on this. Really cool. All right, time for the weekend whip around. I need a quick sip of water. Excuse me. All right, speaking of NC State, massive series for the Diamond Heels this weekend. Carolina fourth still at D1 baseball. They are hosting number 16 NC State this weekend. It's the final ACC homestand before the Tar Heels go to Florida State next weekend. And this series is interesting because it's Thursday, Friday, Sunday, no game on Saturday. So the series kicked off last night, and Carolina dominates NC State 8-1. The Wolfpack homered in the top of the first and was like, oh, man. But that was literally the only run. A great outing from Jake Knapp, who set down, I think it was 18 straight at one point in that game. And then Carolina just scores consistently throughout the game. Had at least one run in 4 of the first 5 innings. Tacked on a insurance run in the 8th. An insurance run they didn't need, though, because they were already up 7-1 at that point. And here's what's kind of cool. Literally no home runs for the Tar Heels. They did all this with a bunch of singles and doubles. I think scored all 8 runs off of that. So really, really encouraging stuff. Big day for Kane Kepley at the plate. Big day for Hunter Stokely at the plate. Kepley at the leadoff spot not only went 3 for 4, but scored 3 times. Man, there's so much that he does so well for Carolina to get things going. The top 3 hitters, Kepley, Jackson Vanderbrake, and Stevenson, combined to go 7 of 11 yesterday. Great stuff. So all that means is that Carolina just needs a win today or Sunday to win the series, and that's really good stuff, especially because heading into this weekend, man, the top of the ACC is all jumbled together with the Wolfpack half game ahead of Carolina. So now the Tar Heels are a half game up. Really important stuff there. ACC softball tournament has been going on this week. Carolina won their first round game on Wednesday against Notre Dame 2-0, but then unfortunately lost to the 3rd seed Virginia Tech Hokies yesterday in the quarterfinals. I had to say it was a great pitcher's duel, no score through 5.5 innings, but the Hokies put up a 4 spot, bottom 6, and then Carolina can't do anything in the 7th, and that's it. All right, let's move to women's tennis. The men's tennis team is done for the year. Carolina, we're just sticking with the NC State theme is why I want to go here next. Super Regional today, 5 p.m. at Tuning Tennis Center. Carolina playing NC State in the Sweet 16. And should they win, they advance then to the NCAA championships, which will be in Waco, Texas, May 15 through 18. Go ladies, beat up on the Wolfpack. Just all this NC State news today. Let's go to lacrosse. The women play on Sunday in the 2nd round on noon on ESPN Plus at Dorrance against the winner of today's match between Clemson and Navy. And then the quarterfinal, should they win that one, which they're going to, will be next Thursday at Dorrance. Men's lacrosse starts their own NCAA championship journey tomorrow, Saturday at noon on ESPNU against Richmond in the Sweet 16. And should they win that, the Elite 8 would be on May 17th. So be on the lookout for that. Women's golf has been going in the regionals earlier this week. They were tied for 5th after 2 rounds, just needed to be top 5 in their regional to advance to the NCAA championships with 1 more round to go. But unfortunately, on that final round, they fell to 8th place, and so they're done for the season. Congrats, ladies. On the men's side, they start their regional Monday, so we'll do some more setup for that on the Monday show. All right, guys, that's it. That's the weekend whip around. There goes my baseball. I always like to toss it at the end of the show. Thanks so much for being here with us live. For those of you that joined today on a Friday, if you're watching this back later or listening back later, we were so glad you were here as well. You guys, if you haven't subscribed to the show, now's the time to do it. Right down there on YouTube at the bottom corner on the screen or on your favorite audio podcast platform. We'd love to see you there as well. If you've not subscribed to the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, man, that's a great place to be where we're talking Carolina stuff all the time and just random life stuff. That link is in the show notes. Absolutely free to join. If you want to go next level with the show, have one-on-one conversations with me and get access to all of my starts and stats and charts and data and record books and all of that, you can join the Locked On Tar Heels Insider Program. That link is also in the show notes. Would love to have you there. All right, gang, I hope you have a phenomenal weekend. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again soon, but until then, peace.